Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of the football betting series here on YouTube, Premier League edition. Things went pretty well last weekend. Our April record now stands at 12 wins, 4 defeats and 2 pushes for a total April profit of £90 exactly. When we add that to the overall record, our stats now stand at 163 wins, 66 defeats with 24 pushes and a total series profit of £903.98. I've got 3 picks in today's episode, so if you think I'm talking some sense, please drop a like down below and subscribe to the channel for more content. Without further ado, let's get into it. We kick things off with 7th place Aston Villa playing host to 4th place Newcastle. And against Aston Villa, the Saints held their own, drawing 0-0 at the half-time break. But as the game marched on, the villains began to turn the screw and eventually took over. It was Ollie Watkins who made the breakthrough in the 73rd minute before Donyell Malen scored the second, with John McGinn adding the third to kill off the game, with the final score ending 3-0. In terms of form, that result made it 4 wins in a row in the Premier League for Aston Villa as they're closing in on those Champions League spots. They host a Newcastle side who I am aware play Crystal Palace in the midweek, but for the sake of today's video, I'm recording and uploading ahead of that match, so if anything big happens like an Isaac injury, please take that into account when making your own predictions. With that disclaimer out of the way, I will say that Newcastle's most recent game came against Manchester United, and they battered the Red Devils convincingly. Taking a look at the stats, Newcastle did win out on every major win predictor statistic, and they proved great value for a 4-1 win. The key man for the tune was Harvey Barnes, as his 2 individual goals really lit up the match and put some daylight between the two sides. In terms of form, as with Aston Villa before them, Newcastle have won each of the last 4 Premier League matches. When we take a look at the head-to-head record, the last match between these sides came on Boxing Day back in December, as Newcastle ran out convincing 3-0 winners. Anthony Gordon got the party started very early on with his 2nd-minute strike, before Isaac doubled the Magpies' lead around the hour mark, and Joe Linton added the final nail in the coffin with his stoppage time contribution. This was very much a game for Aston Villa to write off though, as John Duran was sent off in the 32nd minute, and taking a look at the second half statistics, Aston Villa really couldn't get anything going. Longer term, this result made it 3 wins in a row for Newcastle over Aston Villa, and they've also won 5 of the last 6 Premier League encounters. My prediction for today's game is that coming off that stat about Newcastle's recent head-to-head dominance might have a few people leaning towards them. However, I will just say that Newcastle have won only 1 of the last 7 games at Villa Park, and this did scare me off. Additionally, both sides are in good form and are chasing down European football here, so I'm not too sure which way the penny will drop, but I'm sure there's going to be some high-octane action, and most importantly, some goals. Aston Villa have seen over 2.5 goals in 6 of their last 7 Premier League matches, and also in each of their last 3 home games. Whereas Newcastle, they've seen over 2.5 goals in each of their last 3 Premier League matches, and in 4 of their last 6 away travels. Taking a look at the head-to-head record, each of the last 5 encounters have seen over 2.5 goals for an average of 4.00 goals per game. Therefore, I'm going to be backing over 2.5 goals for a full stake here in bet number 1. Our second selection sees 2 sides from contrasting ends of the Premier League table, as 18th place Ipswich Town play host to 2nd place Arsenal. Ipswich Town managed to do another job on Chelsea in their last game. The Tractor Boys drew first blood through Julio and Ciso, with Ben Johnson doubling the lead around the half-an-hour mark into the game. Ipswich Town managed to take a 2-0 lead into the interval, but they wouldn't hold on to it for very long. Axel Tuanzabi's own goal 1 minute into the second period really put the relegation-bound side under the cosh, and from here on out Chelsea piled on the pressure. This pressure would eventually pay off as Jadon Sancho found Chelsea's equaliser 10 minutes from time, and Chelsea almost took 3 points late on, but a resilient performance from Alex Palmer in the Ipswich Town goal saw the Tractor Boys hold on for a point. In terms of form, it has been mixed results of late for Ipswich Town. 1 win, 1 draw and 1 defeat over their past 3 Premier League matches. Although, zooming out, 1 win in the last 13 matches really does explain their current league position. They host an Arsenal side who were held to a draw against Brentford in their last match. In all honesty, the game was a pretty drab affair, with the Gunners having one eye on the Real Madrid match in the midweek, as they look to book their first spot in the Champions League semi-finals for the best part of 20 years. However, in this game against Brentford, Arsenal did take the lead through Thomas Partey around about an hour into the match, with Johan Wieser levelling up 15 minutes later, with the final scores ending 1-1. In terms of form, the Gunners have recorded back-to-back draws in the Premier League. They are unbeaten in their last 6 Premier League matches, but there are 4 draws in this sample as well, and may explain why they will finish second this season. When we take a look at the head-to-head record, the reverse fixture between these sides saw a narrow 1-0 win for the Gunners at the turn of the year. Kai Havertz scored the only goal of the game, but the scoreline does betray just how dominant Arsenal were in the match. When we take a look at the numbers, Arsenal won out on every major win predictor statistic, including an XG of around 12.5 times greater than their visitors. My prediction for today's game is that this match appears to be an open and closed case. Ipswich Town remain very inconsistent, and Arsenal are looking to push Liverpool all the way to the final day of the season. As such, I don't think the Gunners will underestimate Ipswich Town in this one, and will go on to win the game in comfortable style. The only thing which could sway my decision around this would be Arsenal's Champions League semi-final appearance, but that does take place around about 10 days following this fixture, and I don't think they're going to need to rotate the side. Therefore, I'm going to back Arsenal to win this match for a full stake here in bet number 2. Our third and final pick in today's episode sees 19th place Leicester City playing host to first place Liverpool. And Leicester, they visited Brighton in their last match, and Leicester fans would have been delighted to see their side score for the first time in 8 Premier League matches, and the first time in this calendar year. Not only did they score 1, but they did it twice. Mavididi cancelled out a first-half Brighton goal before Okali rescued a point for the Foxes with a second equaliser of the match, with the final score ending 2-2. In terms of form, this result broke an 8-game losing streak for the Foxes. However, just 1 win in their last 17 league games is a pretty damning statistic and indicates why they will be relegated. They host a Liverpool side who bested West Ham in their most recent game. The Reds took a lead through Luis Diaz, but complacency did creep in as the game went on and West Ham worked their way back into the match. Virgil van Dijk and Andy Robertson were at fault for the equalising goal in the 86th minute, as one cleared the ball off the other to tie the scores at 1-1. However, Van Dijk did atone for this error as he rose highest to meet McAllister's corner for the winning goal of the game, with 2-1 being the final score. In terms of form, it's been a pretty tricky patch for Liverpool of late. 2 wins in 5 across all competitions really indicates their struggles of late, but now they only have the Premier League to focus on, and I think they're going to return to form to see off an Arsenal challenge for the title. When we take a look at the head-to-head record, Liverpool won the reverse fixture at Anfield. However, it was Leicester and Jordan Ayew who broke the deadlock after just 6 minutes, but this rather poked the bear. Gakpo would level up the scores in first half stoppage time before Jones and Salah would contribute in the second half for a 3-1 win. When we do take a look at the numbers, we can see that Liverpool did dominate Leicester in every major win predictor statistic, and they also didn't allow Leicester to have a single shot, let alone on target, in the second period. Longer term, Liverpool have won each of the last 4 Premier League encounters between these sides, and my prediction for this game is that Leicester are basically dead and buried at this point, whereas Liverpool still need to pick up points to compete for this title. Being out of the Champions League is going to help them, as they do only have 6 games to go this season. I think we're looking for a pretty routine win for the Reds, although on the road. I'm going to back them for a full stake here in the final bet of today's episode. So there we have it, 3 picks in today's episode, starting off on the Saturday with Aston Villa versus Newcastle. We're going to be taking over 2.5 goals, odds of 1.74, a £40 full stake to return £29.60. Moving on to the Sunday, we've got 2 one-sided encounters. Ipswich Town play Arsenal. We're going to be backing the away side of Arsenal at odds of 1.46. A £40 full stake to return £18.40. And then we have the shorter selection. Leicester play host to Liverpool. We're going to be backing the champions-elect at odds of 1.26. A £40 full stake to return £10.40. So across the weekend, we're going to be risking £120 to hopefully pick up as much as £58.40. Will we do so? Well, there's only one way to find out, and that's to tune into the next episode. But if you have made it to this point in the video, please drop a like down below and subscribe to the channel for more content. Don't forget to check out the continental picks in the pinned comment down below. And as always, have yourself a lovely day.